Today's episode is very special. It's the earliest we've ever done a Thursday night talk. Why do I say Thursday? Because me and Omar, that's right, Omar is back on the screen. We are doing a post preseason Hall of Fame game talk. I know, it's weird. We're a little split on this idea, but we did it. We talk preseason, and of course, we talk about non-football stuff too. That's what we do. Omar is in the man cave. I'm in the studio. I'm decked out in my gear, as you will see if you are watching this. And we have a lot to talk about. You will see Omar's made some big life changes. We have some big NFL predictions, hopes, dreams, recollections from the past. Well, we'll get into all that. So, if you are itching for preseason Sunday night talk, it's here. Me and Omar sit down for a little chat after the Hall of Fame game. Go Raiders. Omar's here. Here we go.
This really is a dry run because I left meeting instead of
As soon as I hit record, it went to just me. I was like, "Is this a solo pod? Am I in the movie Castaway now?"
It's like that scene from Wayne's World when Wayne got pissed off and he took off and left Garth by himself on set.
What if I just left you? What if I just left you on this pod and you just had to solo it for the next 42 minutes? Okay, let's give it a proper intro. Let's go.
Great.
3, 2, 1. All right, the season is back. Well, not really back. We are jumping the gun. Omar Carmona joins me for the first ever preseason edition of the Sunday Night Talk, even though it is, what is today, Thursday? I've lost all track.
It's a Thursday, but it's a special day in that it is the first action of the year.
Yes, it is. The Hall of Fame game. So I welcome you, Omar, to the 2022 season.
Thank you. But it's still baseball, and you know the pennant chase is heating up. So I'm gonna save my gear. I see you're all raided out, but it is your team
Yes.
playing in a meaningless game. But you know I do appreciate the fact that you came dressed like Ice Cube.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know. I often get mistaken for Ice Cube. We live in the same city. We like the same team, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I am, we're going to get to the Hall of Fame game in a second here. And I will note, it didn't even end. We just started to roll. We're just like, we just need something to talk about. So we'll talk about the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
Let's start with the offseason. Well, what's going on with you? Well, what do you do in the offseason? Because we don't really talk. The majority of our interactions is during the football season.
It's funny you mention that because I was thinking that today. Well, I have a lot of friends I really stopped talking to at the end of football. And it seems like we just pick it up, like, you know, there are text threads and you know, all these different chats. And it seems like now it's picking up. Well, it's because football's in the air.
Yeah. So for you, you have the same thing. It's specifically around football as well?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have a few sports-related friends that, it picks up around when the sport is in season,
Right.
sort of things as well. So maybe it's a male thing too. We just sort of drop off with each other. We don't care what we're really up to until the season,
Yeah.
and then we catch back up. So let's catch up with you. What's going on with you? Last we left the season, you were off drinking. You were feeling good about things. And then how's it going? Catch me up.
I am still off the sauce. Feels great. I've lost a little weight. I'm exercising a lot more. But other than that, everything's the same. Work, family. That's it.
So it's the same, and you're off the drinking and loving it. Is it
Loving
hard,
it.
or you're this is a good life change?
It's a great life change. And I think, I don't know, I mean, I guess people have different stages, but now my thought is I can't believe I wasted so much time drinking. I'm actually
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, this is a whole new Omar.
Yeah.
Wow. Exercise, you're off the drinking. What else do you fill the time with? Do you have new friends? Has it been hard to
No,
not drink? Is it difficult around people who are
no, it's
drinking? I
real.
know my brother was in town and gets to hang out. I like how like you are interchangeable with all my family members. Everybody is
Right.
your friend, everybody's your family member.
I have dinner with all of them.
Yeah, even though like I like to claim you as my first round draft pick,
Right.
all my family just sort of like takes up with you. So yeah, my brother was like, "Yeah, Omar's off the sauce. We drink around him." Is it difficult at all, or you don't seem to have a problem with people drinking
No
around you?
problem. No problem whatsoever. I invite people to have a great time. Um, but no, it's a great choice I made, and I'm into yoga now, and I meditate a
What?
little more. Yeah, man. Look,
Wow, this is a new
I got,
Omar.
I got yoga blocks here. Um, I have a yoga blanket here on the
Huh?
floor, and my mat's here, and I got it all. I'm yoga. I
Really?
meditate. Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed and curious. You know what we got to do for a future pod? We got to do like a yoga class.
Oh, no,
You and I should do it, and then we could do a post mortem on it
it's
afterwards.
funny.
Because I always like the idea of yoga. I've never done it, but I think there's something to it. I would like the idea of trying it.
It's great, and I mean I do it on the app. I'm still my body still can't control certain sounds and bodily functions that occur when I'm bending certain ways. So I
Oh,
have to do my yoga here. I'm not ready to go to a studio or anything like that.
you
Nobody
know,
needs to see that.
as like good of friends you and I are or have always been, I don't know if we really ever shared a sport like actively. Like we follow a lot
No,
of sports. I don't know you and I ever, besides we throw a ball around with like your kids and stuff. I don't have any kids. I don't think you and I have ever shared a sport that we've actively done.
right.
So maybe we should do some yoga when I come into town.
Let's do that.
Interesting. This show is already off to a very odd start.
It's preseason.
Preseason, we're getting our legs. Like I said, we started the show. I hit record, and then you accidentally hit leave meeting, and it was just me on a screen, and I got a little intense.
Absolutely.
So, what else goes on in the off season with you? You work. What other sports do you follow, or do you turn into Omar
No,
Family Man?
As far as going out, aside from the exercise, I'm playing golf a little more. And so, if anything, I'll watch golf in the afternoon. Depends on the tournament too. NBA playoff basketball. I like basketball, but it seems like I just don't really start watching it till maybe like the second or third round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, Baseball, I just want to catch the scores, the highlights, but
I don't know when this happened. I think it's an age thing, but I lost a lot of touch with all sports except for football. I used to follow basketball. I used to know all the names. I used to follow it from pretty hard from at least from the All-Star game on. And I watch it this year and I don't know any of the names.
yeah,
Um, and this is the weirdest thing. I don't really know any of the teams because their jerseys have all changed. And I don't
everyone has a
I'm like,
different
wait,
color.
which team is that? Wait,
Yeah,
who is that? Yeah, and some of the rules have changed. I've really lost touch with basketball in the last couple years as well. And then everybody gets traded the next year. So I don't know who's on
right.
what team.
It's hard to
Baseball I never
follow.
really followed. And then I grew up following cycling pretty hardcore. So those are my two sports I follow. So for me, if you're a cycling fan, when basketball ends, instead of the season being
It's
dead,
the tour. It's the
you have
tour.
the tour. And then this year was the first time they had a women's one that followed directly after the men's. So you got another week of cycling to follow if you're a cycling fan. So that's how I do my off season. And then it ends and now we can go into preseason. You know, I always think with preseason, it's always a bummer August because you know you're going back to school. I always dreaded August, and the fact that there was some preseason games or some football on the horizon was that little glimmer of
Yeah.
positivity. I hated August because like school's going to start again. You have to go buy pants with your mom. You have to buy books. Where were you on the going back to school mindset? Did you like school? I hated it.
I didn't mind it. I mean, you hate it in the mornings when you're waking up and you want to stay in bed, watch cartoons or whatever. But I didn't mind school. but yeah, August was terrible, and I was just funny. We're talking about this. I was at parent teacher conferences today, and all this technology, like it really is mind blowing. It's like we had a chalkboard, and the coolest thing I thought was in the room were those tools that like had three or four chalk pieces, and you could do like lines and whatnot.
Oh. We were very easily impressed in those days. Remember the pencil sharpener? You could go sharpen your wooden pencil,
Oh
and you could
yeah,
just grind it.
grind it.
You just
And some
grind it down.
and
Yeah.
some jackass would steal the cover,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
so you'd
right. And it
actually
just
so you'd actually be able to see it grind. Yeah.
you'd have to put the trash can underneath it, like you're eating something that would crumble. Yeah, that's true. The going back to school was rough for me. I would get a little mildly depressed. Not so much by college age. I liked it, but just the routine of it. Oh, I would get depressed. And then you would have a little football, or sometimes your parents would be like, "We'll do that last weekend trip, end of the summer trip," and that would sort of give you some excitement to look forward to. But going back to school was rough. Just the smell of the school. I don't know if like sometimes you go into school, you could smell the paint on the walls, and I would have a bad reaction. Be like, I hated this. I do remember this one specifically. We went back to school. I think we were like in line to get our books or something. And at some point you lean over to us and you go, "I'm missing divorce court right now." like you had a TV routine and everything. It was
Oh,
probably like 10 o'clock in the morning. You're like,
well,
this is the time I watch divorce court.
when I'd stay at my grandma's house, she didn't have cable, so like I was pretty much limited to, CBS, ABC, NBC. Price is Right, obviously.
Yeah.
You want to catch the Price is Right. That's when the morning starts. Um, but yeah, I had my own TV guide, and had four channels to work with. So it was,
Really? Yeah. I can't even
you
imagine
know
that.
I did like that there was something about football. And now I was going to ask you a question like about, now that we can watch every game on a Sunday ticket on some platform, right? But do you remember, like, we could only watch three games a week? I
Yeah.
mean, we could only watch whatever morning, the morning game, the afternoon game, Monday Night Football. And
Hmm.
ESPN had, they had, I think, their Sunday Night Football for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that's why I liked Monday Night Football so much back then. Like, I really looked forward to it because it was just something exciting, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Monday Night Football was bonus football.
Right.
You watched your morning game, you watched your afternoon game, you watched the evening game, you were dreading school the next day, and then you're like, well, we got Monday Night Football. That's a treat. That
Right.
is
That's a
our
treat
extra
because
little
Mondays are
bit.
so dreadful. Mondays are so dreadful, but at
So
least I get a game.
yeah, yeah. My parents would bribe me so hard with Monday Night Football. It's like, well, finish your homework or go do this or go do that. And if you finish it, you can watch Monday Night Football. And sometimes they'd be like, and if you do extra, you can watch the whole game. Because that was the other big thing is the game would end about 10. And if you're a little
Right.
kid, you're probably having to go to bed before that. So, all right, you can watch the whole game. So it was a good bribe. Also in those days, like, we watched just whatever game the affiliate played. It's like we just relied on highlights. If something
Right.
happened in a game, we just like, well, I can't wait till ESPN has the Sunday Night Blitz at the end, and
Right.
we'll just catch up. Like the internet and the nonstop scores and little clips has really ruined places like ESPN because that's all we had to go for. And now
Right.
we're like, well, we'll get the scores. No, we have that all in our hands right now. Oh, we'll get the highlights. No, we can have that right now. I don't
Highlight
watch
that,
ESPN anymore.
that was great. I mean, here's the thing. When we were growing up, it would be like a Bills. It just seemed like we watched a lot of Bills, a lot of Dolphins, in the morning, right?
Hmm.
And then or Cowboys. You
Cowboys was
know,
always afternoon game.
Cowboy,
Yep.
and then but and then I think I remember watching a lot of the Broncos, the Giants, and Redskins in those days. The Niners occasionally, but they were so West Coast that we weren't going to be the game of the week always. So it was just so difficult. If when you're an out of market when you're a non Cowboy fan, it's hard to be a fan in El Paso.
You brought up something that I wanted to ask you for a while. You're a San Francisco fan. I am a Raiders fan. We both grew up in El Paso, Texas. Not, we don't have a professional football team, but also we are not fans of the majority fan base there. Did you feel like almost like you were an outcast growing up?
Yeah.
Because I sort of did. I always felt like I had to defend my team, or I felt like people would be like, why do you like that team? What is it like to grow up rooting for a team that is not the fan base of the city?
I felt great. I just, and I think that's where my cowboy hate comes from. It's just because like you'd be at parties and you'd watch, you'd feel proud. Oh, this is the shirt that I wore. I'm wearing a 49ers t-shirt, a Joe Montana shirt, and you're so proud of it. And then like some like 30-year-old, says, "Hey, pussy," it's like
Right.
I'm freaking eight. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm happy that I'm rooting for my team and then so yeah. But that's what fueled, I think, the cowboy hate. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if this was high school or what, but somebody won an award at our school. It was like the attendance award or something. And they're like, come to receive his medal. And he gets up there and someone yells from the crowd, "Yeah, but he's a Redskin fan," and everybody booed him. That's how much we I don't know, identified with sports at that age. Is if
Yeah.
you were a fan of some team that everybody didn't like, you could get booed at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was a Niners fan, and so I felt, there was some intense games those years.
but you had a good team, at least in the early 90s. So, kind of my thought, you got to experience a couple Super Bowls. What would it be like if they won a Super Bowl now? Would you
Well,
just say
and
like, okay, I can just die now? That's it.
as a Niner fan, we've been, I haven't had that feeling since I was a little kid, but I came close twice recently,
Yeah.
in my 30s and yeah, in my mid to late 30s, I was able to have that with my kids and root, but two close games, two very close games, losing of course to the Ravens and the Chiefs a couple years ago. Just brutal, brutal, brutal.
Yeah, you've had to live through a couple of losses. Yeah, I'm wondering if I ever get to experience a Raiders Super Bowl win, if my body just expires. Just like that's it. I have spent a lifetime. I think the last time they won a Super Bowl, it was like 82. So I was 2 years old. I didn't get to enjoy that. So
Yeah.
I've never experienced any joy at the end of a season, if you think about it. So I might just pass out. I think also, remember when we were kids, the Cowboys were good. So we didn't really acknowledge all the lean years they had between the 70s to the
Oh,
90s.
they were terrible.
So when they won that first Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure my uncle cried. And he never took off his sunglasses, so he'll never admit it, but I think he cried. There was a point where my dad was like, "Hey, all right, Ray, Super Bowl." And he just nodded. He just
Yeah.
nodded, didn't say a word. I was like, I think Ray is crying. I think my uncle is crying right now at the Super Bowl win. So I wonder what it'd be like if you and I get to experience a Super Bowl win.
Who know? I mean, I'd love that feeling.
I would love that feeling too. Let's talk about the game, the Hall of Fame game. And as I wrote down my notes, I think we're going to end up speeding right through this. The Hall of Fame game, Jacksonville versus Las Vegas Raiders. We got to start the season off with a weather delay. That was fun. It's too early to really say football's back. I don't think we can say football's back yet. And this was kind of interesting. The first Hall of Fame game was in 1962. The
Okay.
teams that are chosen for the Hall of Fame game have some affiliation with Hall of Fame inductees. Cliff Branch on the Raiders, Tony Vaselli on the Jaguars. No real starters, no real players are in the game. I don't know if you saw this. Jason Garrett doing a lot of pregame, a lot of
Yeah.
pregame stuff from Garrett. I didn't know he was on NBC
Yeah.
now, but he was going for it.
He's a bright guy. I think he's gonna be good.
Really, Garrett in the booth. All right, here's my couple of notes here. Derek Carr for some reason is fully suited up. He didn't even play. I'm watching the end of it right now. I know he fully suited up, didn't play. New coach Josh McDaniels for the Raiders. New coach Doug Peterson for the Jaguars. Jared Stidham, the backup, gets to play for the Raiders. We had a little text thread going talking about how many times Urban Meyer was going to be mentioned. I didn't hear a lot of Urban Meyer talk. I got to admit though, I was half in on this game. I didn't really watch it too intently. And then my favorite part of the game was they cut to Mark Davis in the owner's booth, and he is eating what looks like the most delicious chicken wing I have ever seen. I don't know if you caught that or not, but I was like, man, I want to eat chicken wings.
Yeah, that was I think one of the few highlights I had seen.
That looks so good. Whenever someone's eating something, I have to have it right then and there. And then lastly, my other favorite note was I saw a promo for Beavis and Butthead has a new series on Paramount.
Really? I gotta check
It is
that
going to
out.
be very, very hard to explain to the younger generation what exactly Beavis and Butthead is.
You
It
know,
is
oh, it's
weird.
when we were texting right now about whether or not we're gonna do a show. I just started this on Netflix, and so far I'm liking it. Woodstock '99, Trainwreck, and it's a
Did I
documentary.
watch that? Is it more than one episode? The one I watched was
Yeah,
one.
no, this was more than one episode.
Oh, okay. I watched one and I had a lot of mixed feelings about that doc. I'm gonna have to rewatch
This
it.
is yeah. Well, check this one out. It's been it's pretty good. But I like. But going to the point, um, yeah, it's just different generations. I don't know. Crazy.
What do you mean? What don't you know?
I don't know.
Well, it's a preseason. We're allowed to not know right now. So I got a couple preseason questions, couple preseason rankings. This is the preseason. No prediction is wrong at this point. Okay, top 5 teams in the preseason. Give me your top 5.
Oh, Pat, I haven't
Or
really
just
done any.
rattle off your favorites, Steven. Doesn't even have to be your top 5.
Okay. Um. Oh, here is. I think we're going to see an improved Dolphins team. Okay, a much improved Dolphins team. I think they're going to be a force. I think Buffalo is going to be back strong. I don't think they're a clear cut favorite, but they're going to be in the mix. On the other side, the NFC Packers. You got to expect some sort of regular season run where they rattle off a bunch of wins in a row. The Buccaneers, the Rams. I think the Niners are not going to be pushovers, but we do have some weaknesses. Obviously, Trey Lance starting. So I think this is a very open season again.
What's it going to take for you to get a Trey Lance jersey?
I'm not far. I'm not far.
Oh, really? You like him?
Well,
Because you never got a Garoppolo one. I never saw you in a Jeff Garcia jersey, as far as I've known. So I'm curious what it's going to take, and you say you're close.
I'm close, but I got to see some maturity.
Okay, all right. I like your Buffalo. I think Buffalo. This is a make or break season. They gotta go. They gotta go. I listened to way too much preseason podcast the other day, and I totally bought all the hype that this is going to be a Kansas City off year. They're in the basement this year. And then I'm going to go LA Rams are on the rise. LA Chargers on the big rise. And
Okay, I
then
like that. Patrick, I like that. I was gonna say I
yeah.
do that. Ugh, we just need that consistent showing from them. Because
Yeah.
what with the Chargers, like sometimes there's games where they look like they're the best team in the NFL. Lighting up a scoreboard, making big stops. But then it's like in the next game, it's like they just don't show up.
Yeah, I feel like if Buffalo is the senior, the Chargers are the junior.
Okay.
And they're maybe a year or two behind them. So I'm on that. I like the Miami. I
Um,
still am very curious about Tampa Bay. New coach, Tom Brady never wants to go home, it seems. He's going to just live in that facility and study film all day. So I never doubt him. He might be half robot for all we know as well.
right.
So I like those. And of course, this is maybe the 4th year in a row that I say this is the make or break season for the Raiders. So, but I'm going to fully commit. I'm going to buy a Derek Carr jersey or some sort of team stuff to wear. So I think I need to fully commit, and then they will be good. And then Cincinnati, I think this is a slide. I think they make the playoffs. There's no
So
way
I
they
was
go on
asking, do you
another.
think there's going to be that Super Bowl?
No way. There's no way they go on another Super Bowl run. I say they make the playoffs and lose in some way. I feel like that was just a lightning in a bottle season, and they could have pulled off that Super Bowl. Okay, top 5 QBs. Give me your elite list of QBs right now.
You know, I'm going to be very curious to see, talking about the Bengals, how Joe Burrow comes back. That he came off a big, that was a big high, a big um end for him. He proved that he can lead a team. So he's got to be up there, but we'll see how his progression is. I think one guy I'm taking out of the list, I think that the absence of Tyreek Hill is going to maybe show some more weaknesses in Mahomes.
Yeah, that's what everybody.
I'm not
That's
sold. I'm not sold on
You're
him.
not sold. Yeah, I think that's going to be the preseason thought that Bills and Builds is that we're going to see a lot of KC question mark headlines. We're going to see a lot of
Right.
that. Can Andy Reid move the pieces around? So
And you got to
I think
think,
it's going to grow.
I think the best quarterback in the league is, talent wise, I think it is Josh Allen. Call me crazy.
You're crazy. I'm going to go I'm going to go Rodgers because I'm going to go with the MVP argument that he's the best until the belt is taken away. I'm going to go Josh Allen, and I'm going to go a little bit of a sneaky change parts of the map, Russell Wilson. I'm going to say the new colors in Denver
Ooh,
makes him still scary. I feel like he was coasting
wow.
for those last 2 years at Seattle.
Are you do you feel threatened as a Raiders fan
Yeah, I
with
don't
now
like it. I don't like
Russell
it because
Wilson
I
in
know
your
he's
division?
good. Yeah, Denver is my most hated team. I don't like Denver. I don't like how the country likes Denver. I don't like anything about them. I don't like the city. I don't know if you've ever flown into the airport, but
Yeah, I've been to Denver.
it's miles outside of the city, and it's almost like Denver, the city is as is if a mountain range opened up a parking lot. I don't like it. I don't like
Right.
it one bit. So it makes me scared that they have a good player there. So I give Rodgers MVP belt, and then Josh Allen. He's ready. He's ready to just take the league by storm now. So
I agree.
I like that. Okay, a couple of hypotheticals. I was watching the NBA finals. I came to learn that Draymond Green has his own podcast, which is genius. Which is genius because all these players have to do interviews. They don't want to do them. They give the same answers every time. They never get to speak their mind. So why not have your own podcast? So which NFL player needs their own podcast, do you think? We got a lot of players go
Great.
on weekly podcasts. Like Rodgers goes on the McAfee one, would always go on one. But who could just have their own and do their thing?
That type of personality. Uh, I mean, tell me you wouldn't tune into Tom Brady every episode, every week, every day.
I would, but is Tom Brady an interesting guy? What's he going to talk about? Does Tom Brady have outside interests?
I think Tom is the kind of athlete now that whatever he talks about, you're gonna find interesting.
Really? What do you think he
I,
would
I, I
talk about?
do.
What do you think some topics would be about Tom Brady?
Vegetable juice.
Well, you have turned a corner with health. You want to know about Tom Brady's vegetable juice?
I wouldn't want to listen to Aaron Rodgers. I can't imagine what that nut's gonna do.
Yeah, you
Um,
still do not like Aaron Rodgers. You and Aaron Rodgers are
I hate
feuding.
Aaron Rodgers.
Why do
No,
you hate him?
don't like the guy. Don't just I don't like him. I think he's a, a, a me kind of guy, and that's it. And I just don't appreciate him.
Okay. I feel like your argument would not hold up against cross examination. I feel like there's something deeper here. I still secretly hold the thought that you wanted him as a 49er
Never,
and you're bitter.
never.
Never. No, I'm holding that you wanted him and then he didn't become a 49er and thus he burned you for life. Like
No,
he'll never get on your good side.
never.
No, not at all.
Hate
Well,
Aaron
I
Rodgers.
did I did watch a total OJ Simpson trial review, so I'm deep into like cross-examination and
Nice.
witness testimony now. So I'm trying to pick apart all your answers just because I seriously think I watched 4 hours of this OJ doc. And at the end,
Nice.
yeah, I had no idea what the case we were even trying by the end of it. I am of the belief that those jurors were almost hostages, and thus their
Okay.
judgment was really impaired. They were sequestered for what, over a year? They couldn't talk to anybody. I feel bad for them. I feel like their decision could have been affected by just the sheer isolation.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Definitely.
I went off on a tangent there. What's my next question? Okay, favorite off-season story. I got 4 nominees: player
Okay.
trades, unretirements, etc. That's all one category. The dawning of the age of the announcer empowerment. We have Joe Buck going to NBC. We have Troy Aikman making
Oh yeah,
as
that
much
I
money as players. We have Greg
right.
Olson getting upgraded. Off-season story, the NBA, and then finally the draft. Or write in your own favorite off-season story.
Write in. I'm gonna write in, and it's a story I don't want to go away. Um, I want to see what this investigation on Dan Snyder and his regime there with the Washington Commanders.
You're
Uh,
still big on this, huh?
Yeah, I think there's something huge, and I think what's going to be interesting is once this stuff comes out, did the NFL know about it? For us conspiracy theorists in certain areas, I would think that Roger Goodell wants this to go away, and I'm sure he doesn't want any part of this. But hey, Congress is looking at it. It's going to get interesting.
What exactly are they looking at?
Well, I think now, one thing is I absolutely believe some sort of sexual, strong sexual harassment was going on, and I do believe that. But the thing is, it's so when you start making it a cover up, and people know about it, and then does the NFL know about it? And do they try to brush it under the rug? Because there was even talks that this is so big that Dan Snyder could possibly get pushed out as an NFL owner,
Oh,
and so I think this is going to be big.
thoughts on the Deshaun Watson decision, which came out a couple days ago? Suspended for, did he get 4 games? Interesting, as I understand it, the NFL hired an independent judge to arbitrate and make a decision. And the judge said you get 4 games suspension. So this isn't in a court of law of anything. This is the NFL court of law. So the independent judge said you get 4 games suspension for it, which with the season is so long almost becomes, I don't know, a benefit. Remember the year Tom Brady got suspended for the first 4 games and then went three and
Came
one,
back and
came back. Yeah.
yeah.
So where do you stand on that? Where do you stand on the legal portion of it and the decision from the NFL? And then not to mention the Browns traded away everything to get him, and now they don't have him for 4 games.
The sad thing, the unfortunate thing, and if he did that stuff, then I think he should be. If it is true that about look, I'm not saying that it's true or not. I'm just saying I don't
Yeah.
know for a fact.
Right. Well, put your
Um,
defense attorney hat on for a
right.
second.
But
Approach
if
it
this
like
is
that.
true, if this is true that he did all this, then he should never be allowed to take another snap in the NFL. Period. Forever. I think this is so horrendous. These accusations that if true,
Well, you
um,
are his worst defense attorney I've ever heard. You're
yeah,
supposed
I
to
can't.
advocate for
Yeah,
your
but
player.
I think if he didn't do this, okay, or I'm not saying any more, and there's no magic number here. Doing it once is one time too many, but let's just say he did it to just one,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then when other people find out, if I'm his lawyer and I got now, oh, by the way, the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, accuser just came out. It's like, well, I mean, at this point, I can't stop it. I mean, everyone's got a claim against me at this point.
Yeah.
So
So you think
that's
you,
where,
you think the punishment was not enough
yeah, I
if
mean,
he did it?
if true, right?
So he settled with, I think, I think there's like 25 accusers. So the guy has a bit of a pattern. He's settled with 20 of the 25 accusers, I believe. I'm not sure on those numbers, but he settled with a majority of them, and some of them are still in play pressing charges for his assault. The guy for his massage envy. So still pending. He misses the 4 games. Can the NFL jump in and say like, no, you're going to get 6 games. No, you're going to get 7 games. I suppose they can, right? And it's not like he's not paid. He still has his contract. They're just kind of punishing him in the public eye. Do you think the NFL is playing damage control? Do you think they actually care about this? Where do you stand on the
No,
corporate structure
I
of
really
this?
do think about the NFL. It is just a business, okay? And it's so sad when players that have contributed to certain franchises, they get shipped out, but at the same time, they understand this is a business, okay? So my thought on the NFL is that they're always playing damage control. You protect the shield first, and then you worry about, you know, I think other, players and coaches and, staff. That comes later. We have to protect the shield. That's my opinion on the NFL.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think they did their own investigation. And then I think someone else did an investigation. I believe she was with the Washington Post and found out so much more information than what the NFL did. So the NFL kind of like, okay, we found out. And they essentially found out what they wanted to find out. They're like, okay, this was kind of bad. We can work around. And the independent investigator found out a ton more. So yeah, I think the NFL first and foremost protects their brand.
Absolutely.
Which makes sense. That's not surprising. We saw this with the Bounty Gate stuff. We saw this with Deflate Gate. We saw any sort of protection of the league itself. I think they're going to
Oh,
err
how
on the
about this
side of
tampering? I
their.
mean, it seemed like the owner Ross from the Dolphins. The Dolphins got slammed
Oh, I don't know
because of
this one.
potential.
What's this one?
Yeah, maybe in the last couple days. Stephen Ross, the owner, is going to be, I think, suspended a few games, um, and they took a first rounder and a third rounder away
Hmm.
down the road. So that's a big punishment.
And I think with the inclusion of like every week, there's a new cause the NFL is is advertising. I think it's so much in the public eye. They have to have this. They have to essentially err on the side of whichever way the wind is blowing, whether it be socially or stuff. We see it with like
Right.
social advocacy, things like that. They wear different uniforms. You could argue whether or not this actually does anything, but they want to be of that inkling. It makes sense. It's a huge corporation.
And speaking of
So
the huge the hugeness of the corporation, what's your take on off-season watching of other leagues?
what do you mean?
You
Other
know,
football leagues?
the USFL, the other football leagues.
I enjoy it and I think it's fun. I don't know any of the teams. I don't know any of the players. It's fun to have some football. Football is weird in the summer. So it
It
looks
is.
strange on the screen. Yeah. But it would make sense that at some point the NFL has its own D League, has its own minor league, with college being what it is, with that players can be sponsored, can receive payment now. College is still the top dog. But college was always the minor league for the NFL. That was the feeder for the
Right.
NFL. And now we can have some competition. College
Now
is
let me
its
ask you this.
own.
Let me ask you this. What's your take on their uniforms? Because doesn't it seem like there's a certain class in NFL uniforms, like it's just a certain type of elegance, so to
Well, you
speak.
know where I
It's just
stand on the
like all,
uniforms. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost with all the uniforms. Like I said with the NBA, I don't even know which team is which anymore because the uniforms change so often. It's almost like it's when you get a dessert and you put too much toppings on your ice cream, and at some
right,
point it tastes like nothing. And also,
right,
a uniform is consistency. A uniform is there for a reason where you look and you say, I know what that is. Coca-Cola does not change their brand, does not change their logo. The NFL, and the NFL is cool. So I have two lines of thought with this. Number one, either change the uniforms every year, but you get one uniform. One
Okay.
uniform all year long, change it every year. And in that way, when you see the uniform, you go, oh, 2020. Oh, 1999. I remember that uniform. Oh, that was the year. It will be so identifiable. I say this because in cycling, the jerseys, the kit changes every single year. New sponsors come in and they change it every year and it becomes identifiable. If you show me Lance in one of his U.S. Postal kits, I know which tour year that was. I was like, oh, that was his third year. They wore that kit. So I say change every year, but just one.
Okay.
Or I say you get home and away and maybe one like special one throwback one, but you got to keep it for 5 years. Maybe 10. Maybe 10.
Oh.
Because we need, you get, okay, choose your home, away, and one special. And then, but it's got to stay that way for 10 years. I
Okay.
don't like when I'm like, oh, they're wearing their powder blue. Oh, they're wearing
Yeah.
all white. It's a little
Oh,
confusing. It's confusing
right.
to me. Beyond that, I have no thoughts on the matter.
But you have thought about the plan. I like it.
Thought about it. Yeah. What about you on jerseys? Do you have no thoughts, or did you say that just to get me going?
I just want to get you going.
Well, we did win the Hall of Fame game, so yes, I am pumped up. Let's finish on this. Probably the greatest story that has hit the league in 5+ years, maybe 10. Our very own fantasy draft league, our Memorial Park Fantasy Football League, for the first time ever, has money in the game. This is huge.
Yeah.
We always did it for free. No one, 3 to 6 people would just drop off in the middle of the season. I
Yep.
lost all my games one year, but for the first year ever, we are putting money in the league. How do you feel
I
about
like
this?
it.
Long time coming,
I love
or
it.
you like it?
It's been a long time coming. Let's do this. Let's just step it up a notch, and we'll get creative with the competition and payouts and all that stuff. But let's do this.
Okay, we haven't worked out the parameters of our money yet, so we don't know if it's
No.
going to be first, second, third. I know some leagues pay out during the year, so we haven't worked it out. This is brand new. You always are the commissioner of our league, so I defer to you. But do we know how much money we're putting in?
Not yet. I think we have to. I gotta get the conversation going, right?
What would you like to see? We're having a little de facto commissioner meeting right now.
I know. 50 to 100 to start.
Okay. And there's how many of in our league? There's 12 of us?
Well,
12. And would you like to see first, second, third? Would you like to see some in season payouts? How do you see this going?
we get creative. There's also got to be a way that even the losers can get some money back. And if maybe we won one day, maybe you can get $20 back every week, a weekly payout of $20. If
Mm,
let's say the category is running guy that has the running back with the most points,
uh
or
huh.
a different category, most points from a kicker, most receiving collective receiving yards, you know. So I think that we can get creative with some payouts so that people are still at least fidgeting with their rosters throughout the season, even if you're out of competition.
Any thoughts on a punishment for last place in the league?
Yeah, well, then, that all depends on how much money we're going to raise because,
Oh,
we may have to pay for costumes and certain
oh,
items that, tattoos. We'll see.
oh my God, tattoos. Going deep. Going deep. Well, the Hall of Fame game is almost over. It's 20-3, and we're still in the fourth quarter. I gotta admit, this is the most Hall of Fame game I've ever watched, and I didn't really watch it. I just had it on in the background, as usual. So the season has not begun, but we're close. We're close.
Are you thinking the Raiders going? I guess what would a full season be now? 20-0.
20-0. Can that be undefeated preseason, undefeated regular season, undefeated playoffs? It's never been done. It's never been done.
No, no,
Let's
no.
let's not
It's
get
17.
crazy.
It's 17 regular season games. You'd have you'd have the first round bye, but you'd have the divisional championship game and Super Bowl. So there's 17. That's 20 games right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
And
think
then
we're
I
getting
think it's
ahead of
three
ourselves.
preseason games now. Yeah.
I don't know why. Why are you even putting this thought in my head, Omar? It's not. This is not the time. This is not the time. This is not the place to discuss undefeated seasons. We're at the Hall of Fame game, and we're already making predictions. What's wrong with us? I think it's the back to school thing. We just want something. We just want it to be off our minds.
Something.
I am 41 years old, and I still get a little tense when I hear back to school commercials and things like that.
Oh, it's
So
the worst.
it's the worst. Well, Omar, the preseason is upon us. This is the earliest we've done the Sunday night talk. See you in yoga class?
We'll be in yoga.
Okay, that is it. Preseason, Sunday night talk / Thursday night talk. In the books, first one of the year. Omar is back. It's a different Omar. I don't know if you've noticed that. We're going to have to track this man. Fantasy football talk, preseason talk, Hall of Fame talk, just off-season talk in general. We're off to a good start. We're on baby legs right now, but it's coming around. More stuff coming. The preseason, I have plans in store. If you followed the show last year, you know we did the deep dive on Hard Knocks. It's happening again. We're still finalizing the details, so stay tuned for that on the channel. Don't forget me doing live stand-up comedy August 12th, 9:30 p.m. right here on the West Coast. flapperscomedyclub.com is where you go. I will be there doing live stand-up comedy. Hit them up or come directly to me. See me do stand-up. Always a great show. So for the Sunday night talk, which was on Thursday this time, for the Hall of Fame game, for my preseason 1-0 Las Vegas Raiders, Patrick Ramirez, and for Omar Carmona, wishing you a good day.